The watch list for April 26th, which would be Tuesday. The SPY is still kind of struggling up here at this trend line, although it did sell off and then come back and close near its highs today. Look at the volume. Traded more shares last Christmas than it did today. So, you know, there was not a lot of action. I think we did a good job in chat of honing in on a few special situations and weeding out or singling out. What's a better way to word that? Flushing out. Finding some anomalies that kind of stood out today. So here's what I'm watching for tomorrow. UNXL, let me get that line off there. It's an old pre-market high or something. Has had a really nice run. Now we're down 2 days. I wouldn't mind seeing one more day down, but it's time to start watching that for a potential bounce back up. So it goes on a chart. PACB had a kind of a quiet inside day, maybe a third day play there. GBSN is that weird one, but let's see. I have to zoom in to show you what happened. So we had that little bitty pop on Friday, and then today didn't do anything. But I do like it if it can break today's high. So GBSN over I'm gonna say over 350. That would be taking out Monday's high. Actually, that's right, taking out today's high, and it might then retest this 372 high. And if it gets over that, it could squeeze. This one squeezes at times, as you can see from some of these candles. This one here, this one here. It doesn't look like much, but this one that I'm hovering over, 452 to 770 in one day. So, you know, when I spot stocks that can kind of squeeze like that, they end up getting on my radar for a few days. UAL, no trades in it today. We just had it on Bounce Watch. Let's get that old line off the chart again. And it just continues lower. At some point, sellers will be pretty happy and start taking profits. It is coming into some price action back here from like February. So, you know, maybe another down day, who knows? But eventually sellers are going to dry up and it's going to be a decent long for a day trade. Again, I don't hold anything overnight. So, but UAL, whenever I have a bounce play on watch and it doesn't give me any kind of entry and it sells off again for the next day, it just goes back on my watch list. So it doesn't cost me anything to have it on a chart. EYES, one of my better trades today, and it still looks good. I'll probably draw a trend line here. I know I should do this if I was responsible. I should do this before I make the video, right? But anyway, it's pretty clean, right? Pretty clean trend line. Nice support below. And actually today I had a nice trade in this one, but I think it could continue if it can break today's high. So real quick, just to show you, I called it long. You had the early high. We already had this on watch. And then, oh, sorry about that. We already had this on watch for a potential long today because I like the daily chart. And so I saw this spike here and then kind of put in this quiet little red candle. So I think I called it long idea at 546. The reason for that, because you have this, there's the opening high. You put it in about 10 minutes in. Then you have a lower high. And so if we break this lower high, there's a good chance we're going to push through the high of the day. There's yesterday's high. There's the day before that. That's what we call stacked catalysts. That's where your trend line breaks come from stacked catalysts, right? So call this long at 546, which is right about here. Worst case stop right here, 536. And there's a trigger, and it was beautiful. And we even got a nice second leg there all the way up to 605. So very nice percentage gain today. There it is on 60s right now, and I still think it belongs on watch for tomorrow. So anyway, that's EYES. SEED, this one's a little bit frustrating to me because when I saw it, now look at this, let me take today's candle out of this. When I saw this today in chat, you have this big spike to almost 250, then you have a lower high, and you've got a really nice tight little wedge forming. So I thought if this breaks Friday's high over 216, this could just knock down this domino, and rip, right? So here's what it did. It ended up closing strong, but didn't do me any favors. I called it a 217. Let me pan out a little bit here. When it looked like this, all right, I thought, hey, there's a clear two-day high at 216. So my idea was 217 with, like, I think I said a 211 stop. Look what happens. You get a little bit of a pop there, but we didn't knock down this domino. That's the way I like to word it. If the dominoes start falling, you can even add or at least try not to sell and see if you can get a parabolic move and then sell. But when I take something that broke a 2-day high and the dominoes don't start falling, I get back out, right? So I ended up with a flat there. Then look what happens. Late in the day, I did jump in the chat and just type in, hey, SEED volume spike. And it was actually, I caught that at like 220. Didn't take the trade. I didn't just dive in, but it's aggravating because I called it long here, killed it here. And it did actually come down, and they have like one tick that actually did hit the stop I called, I think, 211. So that's sad. Anyway, so then it pops. And then I said the daily chart looks really good now. And then in after hours, it's trading at 266. So, that's one of those with a strong close. You see people saying, hey, I'm going to hold some for a gap play. That would have been a nice one. Again, I don't even hold my wife overnight. All right, I just won't do it. I sleep better, not being in cash every night. So, but anyway, seed goes back on watch, but it's going to be a morning gap play tomorrow, assuming it opens about where it's trading right now, 266. We'll have to treat it as a gap play, and you look to the left, you do have a spike to 290 last summer. So it's still going to be worth watching as a gap play. PETX closed at 691. Caught my attention because in after hours it's gapping up on news, and it's at 829 right now. Worth noting the 200 days about 880. So it's probably, if it's going to open tomorrow where it is right now, it'd be somewhere around here. So we'll be treating that as a morning gap play as well. That's the only reason that one's on the watch list, because I saw it in after hours. So it'll be a morning gap play. EBIO. Now this one's a little weird, but it's worth noting that this was 34 cents, I don't know, 7 or 8 sessions ago. And then it ended up ripping to almost $1.80. And then today started to pull in. So, this one, with this kind of parabolic move, a lot of times you get selling and then the next day it'll take off again. So I don't love this one by any stretch, but I am going to have it on potential bounce watch, or I guess you could call it just potential long tomorrow. CBI, this had a huge 2-day move here up into the 200-day. I actually would have been pretty comfortable having this on short watch today with a big 2-day move up into the 200-day. Anyway, on lower volume and starting to pull in, I always like these stocks to get back down at least to the 8-day. But sometimes when you have crazy strength, I mean, this thing on this day just wouldn't sell off at all, and really the same thing on Friday. So now this lower volume pullback, a lot of times when you see this kind of 2-day strength, and then you get a pullback, a lot of times the next day just goes again. So I am going to have that on potential long watch. That's CBI. And then lastly, OGXI, nice breakout today out of this range on decent volume for that stock. It's a lower volume stock, so maybe look for a red to green or something like that tomorrow. That's my list. It's not very long. I think somebody wrote today on Twitter somewhere that there's 50 S&P 500 companies reporting tomorrow. So we're in the middle of the heat of earnings season. So there should be plenty of stuff getting volume, and hopefully plenty of trade setups tomorrow. So I don't really need a big list to start the day, all right? Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.